Hi guys, I'm going to color up a steampunk today. I know I've had a lot of requests for these because some of you are intimidated by it, and I want to show you guys just how actually how easy they are to plow through. They're just like any other image really, so you don't have to be scared or intimidated. So let's see. I'm going to start off with my skin, and this image actually is called Lavinia Outing, and again, we all know, or hopefully we all know by now, that they are drawn by Abigail Larson, and she allows me to sell them as digi-stamps on my site. So thank you, Abigail. I appreciate that, as I love her art. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start with E21 as usual. And, you know, the steampunks, they really are very sketchy. So they have a lot of shading already and lots of extra little dots and stuff, so don't be alarmed if when you print it out it's not as clean as, say, an SB or one of my own images, just because, again, they're very, that's the charm of them, and I guess their nature. They're just very sketchy, beautiful drawings. They're meant to be sketchy. And I have printed her at 4.5 inches, I think. Yeah, 4.5 inches. She's going to go on a hat, so I wanted her to be quite big, just to show detail. She's probably going to end up getting cropped. So normally I wouldn't color everything, but again, I just want to show you guys how very non-intimidating they are. So I'm going to go ahead and color the entire image. They're lots of fun, I think. Time consuming, yes, especially the ones that have a lot more detail to them. But once you're done, they're just so beautiful. Okay, I'm going to go in with my E11. Start putting a little extra shading in here and there. Adding the cheeks. And this week, for some reason, I've been getting a lot of people contacting me about my coloring guide that I did last year. It is still available. I will be putting it back up on the site. I just feel that, you know, I'm going to be doing a lot of these freebies, or not freebies, but I'm just going to be doing basically, you know, coloring tutorials throughout the year. I didn't think that there'd be a whole lot of interest in them. But it is available, and it's going to be available again, and it is 12 months worth of instruction. Now, I am nowhere near nearly as good as, you know, some of the other colorists out there that have classes, like Jennifer Dove, Zoe Make It Crafty, Rhea from Passionate Paper Creations. But it is a very fun and basic, quick 12-month tutorial, or not tutorial, but lesson plans. And again, I will be putting it back up soon, and I will provide a link down below on this video where you can check it out. I'm sorry, I'm going over everything with my E51 now. I got a little into my thoughts. I'm thinking about everything that I've got to do still, so I'm a little distracted. But I wanted to take a break and color this up and do this quick video for you guys. This coloring for me is my therapy. So sometimes when I'm really stressed and just have a lot to do, even though I have a lot to do, I will stop and just color a little bit. Just so I don't end up killing my husband or anything like that. Usually when we're busy, like planning or getting ready for one of our kids' birthdays, like Rio's that's coming, I kind of go Bridezilla status on him. Luckily for him, though, he's at work. So that was the E51. I kind of blended everything out with E51. I'm going to go back in with my E21 in a couple of areas. And unfortunately, I can start seeing that my colors, my markers need a little juicing up, a little TLC. So after I am done with the weekend and Rio's festivities and all that stuff, I will probably sit and clean out my markers. And that's a process in itself. I know many of you have done it, and it is quite time consuming, but it's very worth it, and I've said that before. And it's really important to keep those markers juiced up and working right, otherwise you can end up with a lot of blotchy images and just frustrated. Okay, I'm going to go over it just a little bit with the E51 again, because I don't like those harsh lines. I want it to be a gradual gradient where it looks more like the colors are blending instead of just, you know, they ended right there. Okay, now I'm going to add a little BV20 here and there, just for shadowing effect. I don't normally use the BV, I usually use the E04, but for some reason with these Steampunks, I really like the BV20. Maybe just because it looks like it, I guess it looks more steampunkish to me. Okay. Now, there you go. Her skin is all done. So now I'm going to move on to her dress. And this is where it kind of gets confusing, and I understand where some people would be quite intimidated by it, but I promise you, it's easy as pie. Not that pie is easy itself, right? But you'll know what I'm saying. Okay, I'm going to go with G20, and I'm going to start on her dress. I'm going to go ahead and cover the entire area. Again, with these Steampunks, a lot of the shading is done for you sometimes, so it makes it a lot easier. Like, you know that that's going to be a dark area. But what I'm saying is, so normally what I will do is I will actually cover the entire area with my lightest color. And it does, I do understand it gets very light in some areas because, again, the natural drawing or the way she naturally drew it, it's very sketchy pencil. It's literally a pencil drawing that I took into my Photoshop, and I try to darken those lines. Sometimes it works really well and sometimes it doesn't, but it's still a beautiful image, and it still does translate quite nicely into a digi. Let's see. And this is still part of her dress, I think. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so that was G20. Now I'm going to go in with my G21 and start to highlight some areas. And I'm not going to do too many colors on this. I think I'm going to keep it at G20, maybe G21, and maybe one other color, but I'm not too sure yet. I want it to be kind of a light color. And that's, you know, another way of going about your markers. I know a lot of people don't have all of them yet, and they think, well, I guess I just can't color with Copics because I don't have all of them. You don't need all of them. The great thing about them is that they, at least, even with 2 colors, you can do some pretty awesome shading. I'm just going to create a couple of folds here and there where I think the most shading would occur. I have to really buckle down and try to understand the light source and shading and pleats myself. Actually, I think I'm pretty bad at them. Okay. So, like I said, I'm pretty bad at just visualizing for some reason, or getting these pleats correct, and there really shouldn't be that many pleats here, but I already did it. I'm going to have to live with it. I'm going to try to blend them out, but I'm not sure if it's going to work. No, it's not going to work. It's just going to make them a different color tone. That's okay. Well, I will have to deal with it. I go back in with my G21 in some of those areas. Again, as I blended it out so much because I messed up the pleating in this area that I was so unhappy with it that I thought, well, if I blend it out, I'll start all over. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So again, I'm just gonna keep on coloring her here just because I want you all to see the beautiful end results of when you do color a steampunk. Yes, they look intimidating, but they're actually not. They're quite fun. So I'm going to add G24 to that. And just a little tiny bit here and there. Not a whole lot. Like I said, I do want the dress to remain more subtle, a lighter color rather than a dark, which is why I'm just going to add a little bit of the darkest color very lightly. I'm going to be real stingy with it. There we go. And to me, that's it for her dress for me. Of course, you can keep going, do however dark you want it. That's as dark as I want her, or as light as I want her dress to actually look. Now I'm going to do the shawl, and the shawl is going to go really fast for me because I want to do it white. So all I have to do is take C1, and I'm going to start coloring in just a couple of areas. I want the shawl white. So that means I'm not going to color in the entire areas. I'm not going to fill. I'm going to make pleat lines with my C's. And yes, of course, you can do them with your W's. W's work really well for white as well, but for some reason C's are my go-to for white. Okay. There we go. Oops. Oh, you didn't see that. I'm so sorry. Okay, it's okay. I'm going to go over it again with a darker color. But basically, I've just kind of laid down my my pleats with the C1. Okay, I'm going to go in with my C3. I'm going to darken a couple areas here where the most shadow would appear. That's, you know, along the arm, underneath her bridge here, or her back, alongside her torso. Again, this is now with the C3. I'm just making pleats with the C3 just to make it the color white. I mean, you could, of course, leave it white, but you kind of, it just gives it more dimension if you actually add some color that is supposed to be the white, if that makes sense. That was my C3. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of C5, just to give it more depth. And as you can see, I'm not following all the way through to all my colors. Like, I didn't take the C5 all the way to where the C1 or C3 ended. Just want to add a little bit of color to that just to give it depth. Alright, and there's her white shawl, scarf, whatever, I don't know what it is. I'm going to do her eyes, her eyeshadow, same as her bodice. So I will start with my G20. G21 is next, and I'm going to only go halfway through on her eyelid here. Next is G24. And then we're going to blend it all out again with our G20. That's our eyeshadow. Okay, now I'm gonna, let's see, what color do I want her upper dress? I'm gonna keep it at white. Just again, because I want to show you guys all of this quickly, not take up too much of your weekend time. I'm sure that many of you look forward to the weekend for crafty time. Okay. Now the only thing that I'm going to do different here is that I'm going to actually blend out the C's to give it more dimension this time. The other thing that, for me, these steampunks, I feel that they're very forgiving. So if you can't figure out what exactly this little thing is and that little thing is, you can kind of make it whatever you want it to be, because it's not a perfect, it's not meant to be perfect. They're meant to be just really pretty, sketchy art. Again, when Abigail colors hers up, they're absolutely amazing, because she's the artist. She knows exactly what everything is, and she actually applies watercolor to her stuff, I think. So it's a totally different effect when you're doing watercolors versus, Copics like we're used to. Okay, now I'm going to blend everything out with my C0. I'm going to go ahead and cover a lot of that area. I'm going to leave some area untouched, but for the most part I'm going to blend everything out and cover quite a bit of it. It'll still look like a white shirt, just because, again, the C0 is so light and it's starting to wash out those colors. But it works. It looks really nice. I actually really like it. There we go. I'm going to take my colorless blender and push around that, and push those C's around a little bit more. And this time I'm going to go ahead and touch the white just a little, because what it does for me is sometimes it moves just a little tiny bit of that C0 into that area, so it's not just plain white like I left here at the bottom. And it just gives it a really subtle white look to it. See, we're moving along great. Alright, now I'm going to color in her flowers. I'm going to go ahead and go with, I'm going to do some reds on her flowers just to pop it out. Now again, because it's such a sketchy piece of art, I don't have to take a whole lot of time coloring them in. There's not a whole lot of shading. You can still do shading, of course, but it doesn't take as much, just because there are so many parts that are already shaded for you. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm going over my roses with the R05. I'm going to go ahead and color the entire area. Again, with these images, I don't fuss too much about the shading, because the sketchiness of it allows me to, well, it allows for the image itself to already be shaded for you. Okay, that was R05. However, I do still want to add a little bit more depth, so I still will add a couple more colors to that rose. So I'm doing I did the R05. Now I'm going to add a little bit of R39 in the darker inner areas, corners, petals, whatever you want to call them. Again, just to give it a little more depth. But not too much. You don't have to, again, because this rose was already shady enough and it was looking pretty already. So basically, all I had to do was apply two colors, R05 and R39. Okay, I'm going to add her, I'm going to go with the same greens that we have in her bodice piece for the leaves up here in her hair. And actually, I see another flower. This is actually part of the flower as well, I believe. We'll color that. Here's another flower. R05. I'm going to add a little R39. But just a little bit here and there, as I said. Just to give that extra pop. There we go. Now I'm going to go in with my G20. I'm going to grab these little, look like little feathery leaves to me, or not feathery, but just like little scrunched up leaf parts. G20 and then G21. We'll add a little accent here and there. Don't have to add too much again because, and you'll be able to see when you look at your image, printed image, it already has, or it already provides you with quite a bit shading with just the pencil markings. G24 that's what I'm using now. And that flower is now done. So as you can see, I'm almost done with her. Just the hair is next. Now I know that you're probably going to be quite intimidated by the hair because it's so scratchy and so many, it's going in so many directions, but it really isn't that difficult. I'm going to go with browns, so I'm going to start with my E23. And just like I do my other lines or my other hair in my own lines and other digital images, I'm going to start with the lightest and just do long, streaky strokes. And I'm still leaving a little bit of white in that area. I know that it intimidates some people and they prefer not to, and that is perfectly fine. I just feel like it gives it a little more shine that way, but and I want to show that you actually can create those shine areas with these steampunks. I'm trying to move it as best I can so that you have the best possible angle when viewing this. I'm sorry if I keep kind of blocking it. I'm trying to keep in mind that I have to make sure that you guys can see where I'm creating my strokes here. But I get so into my coloring that I forget. And unfortunately, I can't hear you guys if you're saying, hey, I can't see. See, I'm not leaving a whole lot white because there isn't a whole lot of area here in her hair, but I am leaving some, just enough to give it that shine. And I think I just messed it up. I just created an extra layer that shouldn't be there. I don't think that this part right here is her hair. I think her hair ends there, but I'm just not paying attention. I'm just coloring. So I apologize, but it'll work out. It'll still look like her hair. And besides, there's no right or wrong, right? It's just fun. And there you have it. There's the first layer of hair. Now you can leave her like that. I actually would. It looks, you know, just like a very light brown. I actually like it quite a bit because I wanted this image to be soft, and it is. But I'm going to go ahead and add a little more color to the hair, just to give more, you know, a little more depth to it. So I'm going to go in with my E25 now. And just hit a couple areas here and there. Not every single area, or well, it will be every area, but not every single stroke of the E23 will be touched with the E25. Okay. Now, again, this to me looks great, but to give it just a little more color, we'll go in with another one, and this one will be E29. And as you can see, my marker is really juicing up, so I'm going to have to clean that really soon, and hopefully it's not going to get all gunky on me here. But it's going to be fast, long strokes for the last color. Again, just to give it a little more depth. But I was quite happy with even just the first color. Sometimes I do that just because I don't want to go in too many colors with it, and I want to give it a softer look. It just seems to work very nicely for me when I do that. As you can see with these, I've spread them out even more. Each stroke, or each color, the strokes are spread out wider, so that you can see all those colors come through in between each other. And see the fun part about the steampunks, because they're sketchy and because they're so sketchy, you can be sketchy yourself and it still comes out just really pretty. You don't have to make your strokes so perfect. And she's all done. Actually, she's not. We need to color her eyes in. So I'm going into her eyes with my E23. E25, just a little bit on the inside there. And E29, again, just a little bit on the inside. Even less than I did with the others. Now I'm going to go in with my colorless blender and move around that color to give it a little bit of shine in her eye. And there we go, and she's all done. Like I said, I went through it really quickly with her, and I'm sorry if I sound groggy or just kind of out of it. I'm just really tired. I've been doing a whole lot, but at least it's what I enjoy doing, right? So there she is. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will do another steampunk, maybe a more detailed one sometime this month, but I've got a couple of other fun videos and tutorials in line that I hope you guys will enjoy. That's it. Thank you so much.